One of the many things Z and I wondered about when we started our circumnavigation aboard Aquarius was what spares we needed.
But these are all the other spares that I've got back here. And we also have on our list the SodaStream.
We probably have over $10,000 invested in spares and stuff to fix stuff. And I thought I'd share my experience on what spares might be needed on a circumnavigation and a few of the mistakes I made. Cue the intro.
In order to have days like this, you're going to have days like this. This is Tips on Tuesday. We're going to talk about what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Stay tuned so you don't feel like doing this. If you like these videos, please subscribe and give us a like. And if you have anything to add to the conversation or any questions, please leave them below.
So, before you head out into the wild blue, you may be wondering what to carry with you on that voyage. There will be places where you can't get parts, or parts might be very expensive. One should think about what you absolutely can't live without. But you can really throw that in the trash, because what it's really all about is what your first mate, better known as your admiral, can't live without. I think about each system on board Aquarius. I ask my fellow sailors, mechanics, workers, anyone I think might know something. What do they think usually fails on each system? What it takes to repair it? And what spares they carry? Let's take the genset and the main engine for example. Every year or two, I hire a mechanic to change the oil and the fuel filters. It doesn't cost that much, and yes, I could do it myself. I usually do. The main reason I get a Volvo mechanic on board periodically is so that they check things that I might miss. They know a lot more about engines than I will ever know, and while they work, I ask them what parts usually fail and what they think I should carry as spares. If I believe them, I try to pick up the spares on the cheap when I'm in Europe or the USA. So what does Aquarius carry on board for the two engines? 2 complete saltwater pumps, recently rebuilt in Thailand, value $500. Exhaust elbow, value $400. Starter motor, $300. Mini gaskets, thermostat, shutoff switch, $100 or $200. Some carry an alternator, but most places can repair alternators, and we have a 12-volt battery charger that runs off the 24-volt house batteries. You know when your alternator fails because your RPM gauge also stops working. Guess how I know that? Some carry spare injectors, which would cost between $600 and $1,200, depending on how many you carry. We plan to get our injectors rebuilt in Turkey, so we'll just wait. We carry at least 3 oil filters for the genset and the main engine, 5 fuel filters for the genset and engine, and we carry 10 Raycon fuel filters. We also carry spare belts and impellers. We carry enough oil to change the oil 3 times in both engines. If you get bad fuel, you might use up all your fuel filters, so don't set sail without them. Total spares for the engines comes to about $2,700 because I bought motor mounts. That was a $1,000 mistake. The C drive, which connects the transmission to the prop. We carry 2 sets of prop seals with wear-out bearing at a cost of $250 per set. 2 rebuild kits for the rope cutter at about $30 each. Zincs, $10 each. Then we carry 2 to 4 quarts of 90 weight oil at about $30. The Vitus coupling, which connects the engine to the C drive, we carry that for about $350. I probably don't need the Vitus coupling, but it's just about time that it needs to be changed. I will probably change the motor mounts and the Vitus coupling in Turkey. If you know the right person to do the job, please let me know. The bow thruster. We have spares for all the seals, and we also have a rebuild kit for the gears. Seals are standard and fairly cheap, but the full rebuild kit including the gears, that costs around $750. We also carry 3 spare props. Total spares for the bow thruster, about $800 to $1,100. Our water maker is currently making water about 750 ppm. So we've invested $300 in end caps and $500 in new membranes, and we have it all aboard Aquarius. Plus, we carry 5 chlorine filters and about 15 5-micron filters. Total invested about $1,000. We usually carry a spare motor used for the main sail outhaul and furler. They are both the same motor. Costs about $600. But I just used the spare in Thailand. So I'm going to have to get another one when I get to the Med. For the windlass, we carry some waterproof buttons that cost around $30. And we carry a $50 transducer for the counter. For the forward-looking sonar, we carry a spare transducer, which costs around $450. And that's because we broke one when we hit a log just off Colombia. For dinghy spares, we have a 15 horsepower Yamaha and a 9.8 horsepower Tahatsu. We have spare carbs and props for both, plus impellers and a gallon of 2-stroke oil. All in all, about $200 in spares. For the rigging, we carry some soft shackles, spares to rebuild the winches, a few lines, a few halyards, and some spare blocks. Total, at least $1,000. Though we have a ton of other spares, the last thing I'll talk about is the water pumps. I heard that the water pumps go out often in boats, and thus I bought spares for every pump on Aquarius. So you can see them here. The most important of those pumps is the extra fresh water pump. Z Admiral would be mighty upset if Aquarius didn't have running water. So the grand total in pumps is about $950, but about $200 for toilet rebuild kits and various other stuff. So we have almost $1,200 in spares for plumbing.
So there's our spare ground strap, and that's this pulley here. I don't know what it goes for, but got a lot to go through. Well, we've completely made a mess, but I think we got to the bottom of the pile. And now I just have to get all this entered into the computer and make sure that I got all the parts where I want them. It's tough figuring out where to put all the stuff, because this area here is fairly easy to get to, and I had all these parts that I had to move all the time to get around and find what I wanted. But now I'm thinking that this space here should be something that I want to get to more often, rather than, you know, these parts that you hardly ever use. Most of them are spares. You might never use them. So my boat has exploded, and that's because we're trying to get everything organized. But when you're trying to organize anything, there's a time when it's completely disorganized. And this is absolutely the time that it's completely disorganized. But after we finally get everything where it belongs, we're going to show you a really good photo or video. Okay, let's get back to looking at what we got here. So, zip ties. These are tools in here. Everything is marked you know, there's a couple things that I still need to figure out where they're gonna go, but everything has special markings, and I know what's in every single box down there. There's 3 boxes high there, 3 boxes high there, and there's only 2 boxes high on this one because it's a bigger box. So that has tools, screws, all types of epoxies, you name it. This is where it's all kept in here. And we're going to straighten up the rest of this stuff later, but not right now.
If you like this video, give us a like down below and click here to subscribe. That really helps us. And if you want to watch more of us, click one of those.
They said they came from Spanish.